All right, let's talk about some of the biggest, most complicated ideas in theology. Sovereignty, wrath, grace, and free will. But we're going to do it using a pretty unexpected guide. The world of the anime One Punch Man.
Yeah, I know, it sounds kind of out there. But can the story of Saitama, a hero so unbelievably powerful that he's just bored, actually give us a new way to look at these ancient concepts? You know what? I think it can. Let's dive in. So, first up on the list, sovereignty. Theologically, this is a huge, heavy idea. But in the world of One Punch Man, it has a really simple, almost goofy name, Saitama.
Okay, so what is sovereignty? It's the idea of complete and total control. It's not just about being the most powerful person on the battlefield. It's about being the one who wrote the rules of the battlefield, decided who would show up, and already knows how it's going to end.
And this quote, it nails the concept perfectly. Saitama's power is so absolute, it's just a casual thing for him. There's no struggle, no sweat. Saving the entire planet is just a hobby he does to kill time. That kind of nonchalant attitude points to a level of supremacy that's just on a completely different plane.
And here's the key distinction we have to make. Saitama is the strongest character inside the story, but when we talk about divine sovereignty, we're talking about being the author of the story, the one who decides the laws of physics, what monsters appear, and how that final chapter is going to read. The outcome was never, ever in doubt.
So we've got this idea of absolute, author-level control. But what happens when that perfect order gets threatened by real evil? Well, that brings us to our second concept, wrath. Or, as it's known in One Punch Man, the serious punch.
Now let's be clear, when we hear the word wrath, our minds immediately go to like a petty, angry outburst, right? A temper tantrum. But in this framework, it's nothing like that. It's seen as a clean, necessary, and perfectly just consequence. It's the unavoidable reaction of absolute good when it comes face to face with destructive evil.
Saitama says this to villains who've just leveled half a city and then have the nerve to complain when he shows up. It just perfectly captures this idea of righteous justice. There's no personal anger there, it's simply the bill coming due for the chaos they caused. So think of the serious punch not as an act of pure rage, but as an act of cosmic rebalancing. It's like the universe's ultimate immune response kicking in to deal with a disease. It's this inevitable, overwhelming force that simply sets things right.
Okay, so we've just talked about this unstoppable force of justice. Now, let's do a complete 180 and talk about its polar opposite, unearned mercy. We're talking about grace. And for this, we need to look at the character King, the so-called strongest man on Earth, who has absolutely zero powers.
This line gets right to the core of it. King is fully aware that he is powerless. He knows he doesn't deserve his S-class hero reputation. And yet, time and time again, Saitama shows up and saves him. He gets a level of protection he could never, ever earn on his own. And that, right there, is the textbook definition of grace. It's unmerited favor. It's a gift. If wrath is getting exactly what you deserve for your actions, then grace is getting what you absolutely don't deserve. They are two sides of the same coin. This makes the whole abstract idea feel so real, doesn't it? Grace is Saitama literally stepping in front of King to take a deadly blow meant for him. It's getting the fame, the salary, and the respect of a top-tier hero when, let's be honest, you're just a dude who's really, really good at video games. It's a total substitution.
All right, so if God is the author who's in total control, and his justice and his mercy are both absolute, where does that leave us? Where do our choices matter? This is maybe the trickiest one, and it brings us to our final concept. Free will, seen through Saitama's ridiculously loyal cyborg disciple, Genos.
Genos' entire purpose is centered around his master, Saitama. He's completely devoted to this sovereign power. And yet, what is he constantly doing? He's making his own decisions, fighting his own battles, choosing his own upgrades. His devotion doesn't erase his own agency. In fact, it fuels it. This chart just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you have God's sovereignty. He owns the whole game console. He wrote the story. He knows how it ends. But then look at the other side, human free will. You're the one holding the controller. You get to choose the strategy, and you are absolutely responsible for the moves you make. The game is his, but how you play your part, that's on you.
So here's the bottom line. In this framework, sovereignty and free will aren't enemies. They coexist. The fact that Saitama is inevitably going to show up and win doesn't make Genos' struggles and choices pointless. His fights are real, the upgrades he chooses matter, and he's still accountable for what he does.
So, what have we done here? We've taken a hero for fun and used his story to build a pretty robust theological model. Let's just quickly put all the pieces back on the table for one final look.
Okay, let's recap. Sovereignty is the author's absolute control over the story. Wrath is that serious punch of perfect justice that restores order. Grace is the unearned king treatment, where the hero takes the punch for someone undeserving. And free will, that's the Genos configuration, the freedom to make real, meaningful choices in a world where the master's victory is already guaranteed.
And that leads us to one last thought to chew on. Our whole analogy connects God's wrath to that devastating serious punch and his grace to taking that same punch for someone else. So what does it really mean if the very source of that absolute justice has to, in the end, turn around and absorb that justice himself? It's a pretty staggering idea, and honestly, a perfect place to leave it. Thanks for tuning in.